Ever heard of the Great Persian Empire? The land of magnificent carpets, enchanting poetry, and legendary kings like Cyrus the Great. But if you look on a map today, you won't find a country named Persia. Instead, you'll see Iran. So, what happened? How did Persia become Iran? This is a story of ancient history, modern politics, and a king's ambition to reshape his nation's identity on the world stage. It is a fascinating journey that reveals a lot about how countries see themselves and how they want to be seen by others. To understand this change, we first need to look at where the name Persia came from. For over 2,000 years, the Western world knew this region as Persia. The name originates from the ancient Greeks. They encountered the Achaemenid Empire, founded by Cyrus the Great, and the heartland of this empire was a province called Pars or Fars. The Greeks, being the Greeks, started calling the entire empire Persis, which later became Persia in Latin and then spread throughout Europe. It's similar to how some people might refer to the entire United Kingdom as England, even though England is just one part of it. The name Persia stuck. For centuries, it conjured images of powerful empires, exotic trade routes like the Silk Road, and a culture that profoundly influenced the world. Think of Persian art, Persian literature with poets like Rumi and Hafez, and of course, those famous Persian cats. The name became a brand, a symbol of a rich and ancient civilization. But here's the crucial part. While the world called them Persians, the people living there didn't. Internally, for thousands of years, they had called their land Iran. The name Iran has deep roots, going all the way back to ancient scriptures and myths. It means land of the Aryans. Now, before we go any further, it's vital to understand what Aryan meant in this context. It wasn't the twisted, racialized term used by the Nazis in the 20th century. In ancient Persian texts like the Avesta, Aryan referred to a noble and honorable people, an Indo-Iranian group that settled in the region thousands of years ago. It was a term of ethnic and cultural pride, completely separate from the European racial theories that came much later. So, for the inhabitants of the land, they were the people of Iran, living in the Aran Shah, the empire of the Aryans. The name Persia was an exonym, a name given by outsiders, while Iran was the endonym, the name they used for themselves. This dual naming system continued for centuries without much issue. Diplomats and traders from the West would talk about Persia, while internally, the government and its people spoke of Iran. So what prompted the change? The story fast forwards to the early 20th century. In 1925, a military officer named Reza Khan came to power, deposing the old Qajar dynasty and crowning himself Reza Shah Pahlavi. He had a grand vision for his country. He wanted to pull it out of what he saw as a period of decline and foreign interference and transform it into a strong, centralized, and modern nation-state. He launched ambitious reforms in infrastructure, education, and the military. He wanted to build a new national identity, one that was unified, proud, and forward-looking. And that's where the name change comes in. In 1935, Reza Shah made a bold move. He sent a formal request to all foreign embassies, asking them to stop using the name Persia in official correspondence and to use the native name, Iran, instead. The motivation was multi-layered. First and foremost, it was an act of national self-assertion. The name Persia was associated with the old, weakened dynasties and the era of colonial influence from Britain and Russia. By shedding this name, Reza Shah was symbolically shedding the past. He wanted the world to see his country not as an ancient relic but as a modern, sovereign nation on its own terms. Adopting Iran was a way of saying, "You will call us by our real name." It was a powerful statement of decolonization long before the term became mainstream. Secondly, it was about unifying the country. The empire was home to many different ethnic groups: Persians, Azeris, Kurds, Lurs, and others. The term Persia was too closely tied to just one of those groups, the ethnic Persians from the Pars region. The name Iran, with its ancient Aryan roots, was seen as a more inclusive umbrella term that could unite all the different peoples under a single national banner. It was a way to build a cohesive national identity from a diverse population. Now we have to touch on a more controversial aspect: the Aryan connection in the 1930s. At the time Reza Shah made this decision, Germany was promoting its own toxic ideology of an Aryan master race. The Shah's government, seeking to build relationships with powerful European nations, was influenced by this. Some historians argue that by emphasizing the Aryan roots of the name Iran, the government was trying to create a link with nations like Germany, suggesting a shared ancient heritage. The Persian ambassador to Germany at the time even promoted this idea. It was a geopolitical strategy to position Iran as a peer of European powers rather than a subordinate. However, it's important to remember that Iran's concept of Aryan was ancient and cultural, while Germany's was modern, racial, and genocidal. The two were fundamentally different, but the timing of the name change created an unfortunate association in the minds of many Westerners. So, how did the world react? Mostly with confusion. For centuries, maps, history books, and newspapers had all said Persia. Suddenly, they were being told to use Iran, a name most people in the West had never even heard. There was resistance and a great deal of debate. Some scholars and diplomats argued that the name Persia carried immense historical and cultural weight that would be lost. The New York Times and the Times of London published articles discussing the change, with some lamenting the loss of a name so rich in history and romance. For a while, there was a clumsy period where people would say Iran, formerly known as Persia. Imagine if Italy suddenly insisted on being called Italia in English, or if Germany demanded to be called Deutschland. It would take some getting used to. The name change wasn't universally popular inside the country either. Some intellectuals felt it was a break from a glorious past and that the two names could have coexisted. Eventually, the world adapted. After World War II, Iran became the standard official name. But the story doesn't end there. In 1959, the Shah's son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, announced that both Persia and Iran could be used interchangeably in foreign languages. This was a recognition that the name Persia still held enormous cultural value and was a powerful brand for the country's history. So, what's the situation today? Officially and politically, the country is the Islamic Republic of Iran. Iran is the correct term to use when talking about the modern state, its government, and its people. However, the word Persia has made a comeback, but in a specific context. It's now used primarily in a historical and cultural sense. We talk about the Persian Empire, Persian art, Persian literature, Persian carpets, and the Persian language, which is Farsi. Using Persia in this way helps to distinguish the rich cultural heritage from the often turbulent politics of modern Iran. It allows people to celebrate a 3,000-year-old civilization without getting entangled in contemporary issues. For many in the Iranian diaspora, using Persian to describe their ethnicity is also a way to connect with that ancient heritage. In the end, the story of how Persia became Iran is about more than just a name. It's a story of a nation grappling with its past, its present, and its future. It's about identity, politics, and the power of words to shape perception. So the next time you hear someone talking about Persian culture or the nation of Iran, you'll know the deep and complex history behind those two powerful names. Thanks for watching, and if you found this interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into history. See you next time.